Well, here we are back. We are starting our Quick Start Homeschool Boot Camp. I know it's the craziest name, and in reality, I don't know that there is a quick start with anything, but at least I'm giving you some information to make it not so scary. Okay, so anyway, right now, what we're talking about today, I had a whole list because I kind of scrunched this one. I did this boot camp 2 weeks ago, and it was all week. This one I've scrunched to make it a little bit quicker because I had other things going on. But anyway, so we're going to go over your options because when we decided to do this one again, lots of parents are trying to decide what to do. So I'm going to try to break it down for you to make it a little bit easier to understand and kind of maybe help you find where to find the information in your area. Now, please remember that we're dealing with not just local mamas, but anytime I do something, it usually ends up being all over the place. I know I noticed somebody from North Carolina because I am a consultant nationwide now. I don't know how that happened. I just really don't know. I mean, so anyway, tell me hi if you're here. And if I don't explain something right, I will go to the back to the comments. I have the way to do that over here. Right now I can see my PowerPoint, but let me know if something's not completely clear and I can go through it. I have time. You are on my schedule today. So what we're going to start with is, what are your educational choices? Okay, so most of us here that have joined this group this week, you're used to a brick and mortar school. Homeschooling was not on your agenda. So from what I've seen, these are your choices, and we're going to go through them, and I'm going to try to see if I can find where. So even if you're not in my area, I will use my area, but if you're somewhere else, you can use the same terms to try to find them in your area. If you want a little bit of extra help, Tuesday night and Thursday night, I will have a homeschool Q&A. Just, write down what you think. You can jump in there, register, and we can go through. We can see each other and we can go through it. It'll be a little bit easier because, sometimes when you're talking to people, having their tone it kind of helps. I mean, I could I could tell you how to do everything, but reading it, sometimes it helps if you hear my voice. You know how that is? So anyway, so what are your choices? Well, so let's say you've been in a brick and mortar school, the public school, private school, whatever, for years. These are the choices that I have seen. Your first one is distance learning, and that's going to be similar to what happened. Well, maybe not similar. I mean, we've had several months. It may be better. When everything started in March, people had either their packets. In Alabama, we had classes on PBS. Sometimes they used Google Classrooms. We've had 6 months in. I think it will probably be better than when we started in last March. None of us knew what we were doing. Really, none of us really knew. So we can have some grace today. So that's going to be your first option. Now, the way to find in your city, I know we saw, so I'm going to see if I can share this. Sometimes it gets weird. I won't see you quite so easily, but so just hang tight. Let's see if I can show you how to find those. Let's see. I think I'm going to have to go here real quick. Let's see. Go to, this always gets a little weird when I do that. Give me a minute. I'll try not to make any crazy faces. Sometimes when you don't see yourself, you make crazy faces. So anyway, okay, so here, I think you can see this. Mobile County. I live in Mobile County, Alabama. Mobile County, Alabama. Distance, if I could spell it. Distance learning school system. I mean, that maybe. Let's see what it pulls up. Okay, so here we have a, this is not really this is not what I'm looking for. I'm going to come back. I'm going back. So let's go on Mobile County School System website. I'm going to go up here and type in distance learning. And then I'm going to check and make sure you see what I see. I cannot spell on a good day. Distance learning. let's see. Coronavirus updates. Let's see. See if that pulls up. So here. This is going to be, so, you know, most school systems are going to have options. Here they got, let's see, they have lots of different things going on. There should be something there. I don't think a transfer is what we want. So anyway, so the first thing you're going to look for is your distance learning options. That is an option. Most school systems will have something for you if you want to stay in the public school system. Now, let's say you don't want that one. Your next option, I'm actually going to stop here. Your next option is going to be public school at home. There are okay, let's go back. Each state controls their education system. So there is not a national system. There are companies who provide public school at home, like you'll see Connections Academy, K through 12, and there's other ones. So this is the next option. Not all states. Mississippi, I don't think has had this, but it may be coming because of everything going on. Alabama does have several options. Basically, all you have to do is Google the names of these companies. If you want a list of those companies, I have a friend who has compiled one for Alabama, and it may be similar. I mean, they're national. They contract with the school systems is basically what they do. So you'll have that option too. So distance learning, public school at home. Those are both public school. You have not left the system. You don't have to go back to the system. Easy peasy to do. Now, if you decide that those are not working for you, there's another option, and that's homeschooling. That's how you got here today. Now, a lot of times people will refer to the public school at home and the distance learning as homeschooling. That's like a catch-all phrase. What you're talking about is doing school at home. Those two are options. Then there's traditional homeschooling. Traditional homeschooling requires legal steps. I'm going to show you today where to find those. And again, ask questions if you need to and think, because I might assume you know and you don't, and I can try to say it 2 or 3 different ways until you understand it. I want you to understand what your options are. So with traditional homeschooling, where you're going to go, because I'm not going to assume that everybody's in Alabama. Some may be. I know we have some Mississippi girls. I know I saw somebody from North Carolina. Wherever you are, where you're going to go to find basic legal information is called Homeschool Legal Defense. I am going to pull that up and share that. Let me see if I can do that again. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, here. This is going to be your basic legal information. You do not have to join this group to see the information, although I love them. They have so many different things on their website to help parents out. So here is my state, Alabama. You can pick up wherever your state is. They have them color coordinated on which ones have more legal requirements and which don't. So here you have basic options. We have 3 legal ways that we can homeschool in Alabama. The ages that you're required to be in school. If you require notification is required. No teacher qualifications. No state subjects. No testing required. No immunizations required. Except for option 2. Option 2 is called the private school at home option, and you have to have something on record. But that's not a hard thing to do either. Exemption. Vaccination, doesn't matter. So this is a good place to go. I'm going to walk back over here and make sure you don't have any questions. I know I'm going crazy, but I am crazy. So anyway, distance learning is an option. You can find that from your school system. If you don't like that one, there's public school at home options. These are basically national-wide companies who have, and when I'm not just that, it's like my county has a virtual learning academy that they set up in-house. Baldwin County has a virtual learning thing that they set up in-house. So your county might have one already. Now, the thing with these is you're going to have to fill out an application. You're going to have to start a process. It's not guaranteed that you will get into the public school at home. Distance learning, I believe everyone will have that option this fall. I will be surprised if everyone doesn't. But again, I mean, it's going to have to go back to your zoned school system. That's where you start with those. Traditional homeschooling, not a hard thing to do. And this is what happens. I mean, if you decide to put your children back in later, it's like with traditional, you withdraw them from your school, you sign them up with however your legal issue, whatever you're doing legally. And then if you decide to put them back in school later, legally, the public school has to take them. If they're between that age of compliance, now they could make it difficult, but they usually don't. I mean, homeschooling is very mainstream now, and I have not ever really seen an issue. They usually test back in, and all that is a placement test. It's like if my children change from one math to another. In fact, I'm going to get rid of this since I'm not looking at that right now. So if I go from one math to another, what I do is I give my children a placement test. So all that test is just seeing where they belong curriculum-wise. Now, if you and when you're doing curriculum, we'll talk about curriculum tomorrow, but when you're doing curriculum, you make sure their math and their English stays strong, then you're going to be fine. It's not really something that is scary. Don't make it scary. I don't want you to be scared because it's not scared. So if you have questions, I can answer them. I mean, it's not an overwhelming. It feels overwhelming because it's new. For me, I'm like, oh, whatever. But I mean, distance learning is a new thing for all of us. I mean, we're going to learn that one out. I'm very curious about Google Classrooms. It was not even on my radar until this year. But and then public school at home, you have options. You can fill out applications, and I think they're a little bit better organized because they've been doing the online. Because their companies, Connections is all over the country. Let's see which ones are. Let's Google real quick and see what they pull up. See which ones we pull up for that one. Yes, I know. I jump around. That's why I have points to kind of help keep me on track. Let's see. We're going to go here. Let's see. Okay. Public school at home options. Let's see what happens. Now there are lots of companies out there who have online curriculum. If you decide to go the traditional route, they do not handle your legal paperwork. So don't get, always make sure they're handling that. If they're a public school at home, like right here, let's see, we have K-12 is a national online program. That is public school. K-12, you can look up what states they have. Connections Academy, that is nationwide. Those are the two I know. There are other ones like this Keystone. They only have the curriculum. They're not going to have public school. No, they're not going to handle the legal. So that's just something tons and tons of online programs. Like, let's see, a big one. Time for Learning always advertises. They're everywhere. They do not handle your legal. You have to handle that. So that's one thing we'll talk about tomorrow. We'll go over some of these programs. But that is the basic legal information for what your options are. Now, let's see. I'm going to look at my notes. Some of the things to think about when you're on here. If your children are at home, you need to check your your latchkey laws, because some places will have curfews. Then you need to be covering them at home, and they're not supposed to be alone. That's one thing to think about. You can find neighbors, grandparents. I've seen lots of that works. Other things to think about, like in my city, children are not supposed to roam during school hours, and that's because kids were cutting class. And so my kids cannot take a bike ride around the neighborhood. Even if they're finished with school and their mother said yes, they stay on our property during the day so that I don't have to fuss with a police officer. Okay. I try not to do that. I try to stay pretty chill. But we have a pretty big fat property, so it's not a big deal. My teen boy would probably like to roam, but really, there's nowhere he needs to roam. Let's see. What else? What else? Okay, so we'll go distance learning. I'm going to get rid of this because I forget. Public school at home. Went over that. Where to find those? There's a list. I'll post the list later today. Traditional homeschooling. I got you covered on that, especially if you're local. I'm very well versed. And that is what we're covering today. If you have questions, I'm going to sit here, a few more minutes. I'll tell you, my house is wild. I made the decision to go to my mother's tonight. I don't know why I did that. So tomorrow I'll video somewhere else. So anyway, let's see. Those are the basic options. And okay. At 2 o'clock, we're going to go over deschooling, which affects everybody. And then tomorrow we'll go over curriculum. Y'all have time for anybody who needs to catch up to watch this. Ask questions if you have questions. I've never met a bad question. I'm going to post. I have a friend who did a write-up on this. I'm going to post her stuff so that you can read through her stuff. And then if you have questions, let me know. And if you want to meet on the Q&A tomorrow night, we can look for these options if you need a little bit of help, because I like helping. And I'm learning, distance learning and public school at home. Those are kind of new areas for me. And I'm really enjoying learning about the options out there. I know Florida uses them quite a bit. They don't think they're in Mississippi, but I think they're coming. And then in Alabama, we have quite a few options that are out there, different counties who have the public school at home. Everybody will probably have an option for distance learning. Not a bad option if you want to put them back in public school next year, but still there is traditional homeschooling if you need that. So anyway, that is what we're going to cover today, and we handle it in about 17 minutes. Ask me questions. No question's a bad question. I know. I repeat things because I'm a mother. I have 5. I repeat things all day long. I am going to go pack my bags. I will see you at 2 o'clock. We will talk about deschooling. Bye, guys.